Returning to our top story, 14 Central Texas law enforcement agencies will receive millions of dollars in grant money for rifle-resistant vests. Anywhere from $3,500 going to Texas State University to almost $109,000 to Hays County Sheriff's Office. Austin Police will get more than $80,000. And joining us now live is Governor Greg Abbott, who made the announcement earlier today in Dallas. Governor, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Phil. Thank you.
Well, there are so many departments in Texas. How did you decide which departments were going to get the grants and then how much that grant was going to be worth?
I'm proud to be able to tell you that every department that made a request for a grant received exactly what they requested. So we allowed it to the local departments to decide how much they needed in order to make sure they had adequate protection for their personnel, and we were able to grant every single request that was made.
And how did you decide how much the grants would be worth? Is it same just based on the request that they filled out?
Sure. They requested certain equipment that was needed, typically rifle-resistant vest. Remembering back, one of the catalysts for this was the horrific shooting that took place in downtown Dallas on July the 7th, 2016, when those Dallas police officers were hit by sniper fire and killed. We wanted to make sure that our law enforcement officers would have more than bulletproof vests. They would have rifle-resistant body armor and vest. And so not every law enforcement office will be requesting a vest for every single member of their corps, but they will need a sufficient amount to make sure that their officers are protected. And so the amount that was requested by each office was granted.
Well, Governor, let me ask you this. If Texans did not have access to some of the high-powered firearms that we saw in Dallas, would these vests be necessary?
Well, listen, one thing that we want to do is to make sure that our officers are safe. As we saw, whether it be in Las Vegas or in Dallas or whatever the case may be, people are going to have access to high-powered weapons. We want to make sure that we keep our officers as safe as we can.
And this can happen any day. We had an officer die in the line of duty last month here in Central Texas. It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow. When, best case scenario, are these vests in the hands of officers?
Well, that's up to the law enforcement experts in each office when they need to use it. You mentioned the death of the San Marcos police officer last month who was serving a warrant. That obviously is a very dangerous condition. It turns out that the protest that was taking place in downtown Dallas was a very dangerous condition. It's going to be up to each department to assess when, where, and how these vests should be worn.
Governor Abbott, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Phil.
Now, the vests are part of the Police Protection Act. In addition, it makes it a hate crime to specifically target a police officer. It also increases penalties for crimes where the officer is a victim, even if a hate crime can't be proven. It also establishes July 7th, the date of that attack in Dallas, as Fallen Law Enforcement Officer Day. Robert, Sydney.